And we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Beyond the 90. We've got a brand new setup for you, as you probably saw just last Sunday. We've got Ant. Oh my God. We've got Alex and we've got Rich with us as well. Just a quick question to you, Rich. We predicted before the game. Obviously, we've got a lot to talk about in this game. But first reactions to the team. What did you think of the match overall?
I think it was they gave a really good account of themselves, especially after the disappointment of Leeds. I know this is something we brought up a few weeks ago. Is that it's not terrible now when we lose. We think that there's a potential for us to come back and win the next game. So yeah, I think we gave a really good account of ourselves. Thank God Ricky P's back to full flowing football. So yeah, I don't want to take up too much time with that, but I think really really good team performance.
Yeah, I think so too. Just over to you, Alex. The same question. Anything else to add? Because again, I think today was a good team performance. But to be perfectly honest, they didn't really get out of second or third gear.
No, but it was a good way to really rally from the last game. I think we discussed last time on how that game, it just seemed like a one-off. You kind of expected them to kind of get back into training and really just, get back to it. And today they really showed that. They weren't really able to get out of that second gear, but they were able to maintain, their composure and maintain the possession and really dictate the play of the game. And in the end, we got the 3 points, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that we've needed for a while. Just again, we've got a long run of games ahead of us. I think I mentioned on the preview to this that we've got 8 games in February, and February is again on the 28th. I think we've got our last game, so the games are all compacted and quite tight. But again, that's the start that we needed. Again, when we look at the formation, the 4-2-3-1 we were playing, I think we're all a bit surprised with the team that he picked. We were expecting the same team against Leeds that came in today. But over to you, Rich. Obviously, we had Perez slipping back into kind of the Mark Albrighton role, which again, Mark Albrighton to be benched was a big shock for a lot of us. And obviously the big one with Hamza Chowdhury coming back into the team and Nacho coming back into the team, which again, that's got to be close to 5,000 to 1 for that both to happen, because in terms of how much it was happening. But just over to you, in terms of, you mentioned to me about Hamza Chowdhury today. What was your performance today? He got 60 minutes under his belt, and I think he had, as you were saying on Twitter, I think he had a point to prove.
He looked like it. He looked like he was not in a negative way. I think there's a big difference when a player is trying to prove a point, but in a negative way. They're trying to say, why were you trying to get rid of me, etc. Not that that's happening. However, I think he was really trying to prove that there is a reason to put him in the team. He was full of energy, full of tackling, and also looked forward quite a lot, which is different for him. In the past, he's always seemed to pull back. So a brilliant performance by him. And yeah, I agree. With the changes, there were some really strange ones. I expected Under to play. So dropping Albrighton wasn't a huge surprise, but putting Perez there was. I was expecting Under to come in for that. So for me, the biggest sort of things were, wow, Perez on the right instead of Under, and like you say, Chowdhury being dropped back in at that defensive mid. But I think he played brilliantly.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there was a lot of good movement today from quite a few players, even though there was a lot of different performances. Obviously, it's amazing, Alex, how it can change from 24 hours. This time just yesterday, it looked like he was out of the team. He was going to Newcastle, and now he's come in. He started a game, and he's played pretty well as well.
Yeah, no, I think Rich said it perfectly. There's a point to prove. When your name is in the transfer rumors where you're possibly going to go on loan, that's one thing. And then all of a sudden that completely breaking down, and then all of a sudden you're in the squad for the next game. I think he definitely had a point to prove, and I think he delivered. Because we've been talking about we want that that bench player or that extra player that if in that case you want him to come right into the starting lineup and deliver, and that's exactly what you got today. And that's one of the hardest things to really decipher. But I was quite impressed with how he performed, especially with it seemed like all the all the media around Leicester were kind of really in on him, especially with the possibility with him going out on loan to Newcastle.
Yeah, and overall, I think that he played exceptionally well, and obviously 60 minutes probably would have liked to have stayed on for long. But however, the first game, I think that's the first game he started this season. The same with Nacho as well. So coming into that team, obviously he's going to play quite well. Another player that again, Mad Jason's just pointed out as well, Jose Perez played better on the right as a striker, and it's something that I mentioned in the pre-match in regarding to Jose Perez looks a bit lost in terms of his single position. But today, Rich, I don't think he had too much to do, but something that we always talk about, but I think is worth mentioning again. His going forward wasn't as good, but his defensive work, helping out the fullback in Ricardo and supporting that player was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's interesting with Perez because I think he's kind of being used as a utility player at the moment. So it's difficult, and a lot of people are very vocal, should we say, on Twitter, and quick to dismiss him. But I think the problem is he likes to play in that sort of Maddison role. And he's just not been playing there because we've got Maddison. So why would you play, Perez there? So it's unfair on him to be super critical when he's being played out of position. And I think today he's done really well. I think it was the exact same scenario. And again, massively long time ago, but when we beat Southampton 9-0, it was him and Ricardo on that right wing, and they played out their skin. And I think that was sort of kind of reiterated today. He looked dangerous, but like you say, his defensive play was fantastic. So I think he really proved that he has got a lot of worth, and that there's a reason that they utilize him and that they keep playing him. So, long may it continue. I'd love to see more and more squad rotation in regards to showing that these players can slot in and do a fantastic job. So if someone does get injured, we're not all going, oh my God, where are we going to get a goal from now? Or where are we going to get, who's going to play on the wing? And it's just, I think that squad rotation and that competition within the squad is really starting to show now.
Yeah, and it's been showing a lot this season, but especially in, for example, this kind of game where a few players, obviously JB Vardy, Wilfred and Didi is obviously out in a long time. However, coming into this game, it just seemed like there was a lot more. They all looked at it, which is, you think about a lot of these players, like Nacho was rumored to be not too happy with not being played, as you can imagine, he thought he'd be the person if Jamie Vardy was injured to come in, and he hasn't. And just today, I mean, he just looked fantastic. He took his goal fantastically as well, Alex. But today, Nacho, again, we just have to give a big shout out to him, because as the first game he started in the Premier League in quite some time, it might be up to about a year since I think he started a game. But I thought today a full performance in terms of his physicality, in terms of his running off the ball, holding centre backs up. I mean, he did look fantastic today.
Yeah, and especially from, Twitter fan base has been so critical of Nacho, and that's been going on for a while now. And I think it's safe to say that we've been just as critical about his performance of late as well. For him to come in and really, be given this opportunity to be like, you're our guy, and really deliver is, well, we know that he plays with the confidence. So when he's on his game, that confidence boosts even higher, and he tends to deliver a lot more. So I think, getting a goal early and then just continuing on, he was solid today. And I think that's something that we really do need to give a shout out towards, because, that's what you want to see in a striker, especially when, your main striker is out on injury. So having your bench guy come in and deliver is something great to see.
Yeah, I totally agree. And again, just a quick, so thanks, Glenn, for the comment. But again, Brendan Rodgers might have fancied playing Ferrer's defensive plays, exactly what you were saying, Rich. Again, rather than Under's attacking style, it's the only reason why I can see him not wanted to give Under a go today. And I think that's exactly what you were saying. And in terms of, it's a really good problem to have. However, with Under and the way he plays, he is going to go forward a lot more. So it's really good competition for places, as you mentioned as well.
Yeah, I agree with Glenn's point, and I think a lot of people wanted to see Under today, just because when you're playing against Fulham, let's be honest, we don't want to see Leicester sit back. We want to see Leicester go forward. We want to see Leicester attack, and I think that's what a lot of people expected. And like I said, I expected that as well. I absolutely champion Albrighton because of his defensive abilities, not just for putting the ball in the box and his attacking play and his running, but his defensive abilities, he gives you something. He just gives you everything. He is the complete player, and I think that Perez, when he's on that side, he's not quite Albrighton level in my opinion in regards to the complete player. However, he does give you more going back than Under has shown so far. However, Under has shown far more going forward. So that's why I expected that. It didn't happen. Absolutely fine with that. To be honest with you, I honestly don't care because we won 2-0. So, I saw some people still kicking off about, why isn't Under coming on? I was thinking, we're winning 2-0. What more can Brendan Rodgers do to make you happy? We're winning 2-0. We're winning the game of football. If he now swaps all the players out for the under-12s, I don't care as long as we still win 2-0. So just, calm down and pick your battles here. So for me, no, I agree with Glenn's point. I just think he was an interesting and really good showing from Perez on that side, especially in his defensive duties.
Yeah, I totally think so as well. And just one player there's a couple of players we mention every single week. And one of the players is Kasper Schmeichel. In the 42nd minute, Alex, the only shot on target that Fulham has. And again, I was thinking, here we go, that's going in. Couldn't defend set pieces as well as probably we should have done. It does help that Fulham have a lot of tall and physical set players. But Kasper Schmeichel with that save, again, at 1-0, just keeps us in that game and makes us, again, have that clean sheet, which... I was talking to James on this about this on the phone. And he goes, if we're coming to the end of the season and we're trying to pick a player of the season, there is just so many to choose, but Kasper Schmeichel will be up there.
Yeah, and, one thing on the set piece is, that was a free header. We just were like, oh, you guys want a free header? Take it. It's yours. But hats off to Kasper. He is, in my opinion, one of the keepers in the Premier League that has gone under the radar and doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. That's one of the things that I've been stating all season. He is always there and he delivers and he comes in with the clutch save when it's needed. And he has that loud voice to, really lead the team, even when he's, by his own net and he's screaming at the top of his lungs to, all the other players up attacking. He really is, one of the best players on this team this year. And like you said, it's so hard to really decide who is the player of the year for Leicester because, you got Casper, you got Justin, you got Madison, you got Vardy, you got Barnes. I could probably go through the entire team. But yeah, I've said it once, I've said it again. Without Schmeichel in net, we would not be in the position that we'd be in right now. I think we'd be looking at a very much more grim season than what we are experiencing right now, which is absolute. It's great to see what we're seeing now.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I can't really say too much else because, again, he's kept us in games and what we've said before. And if we don't get that, we potentially don't get the goal, which was literally in the next minute. So, again, fantastic run. Again, as you were saying, we'll say it once, we'll say it again. James Justin is upping his game in every single way, game after game after game, because that was a beautifully worked team goal for that second goal. And to play from Nacho to Maddison to then Justin to finish it off, Rich, I think it was just fantastic to watch. And it could have been a lot more today. So that it is amazing as JJ is amazing. But over to you, Rich. What is your thoughts?
Yeah, well, Diego's got it right. What I love about that goal, though, is that Justin started the move. So obviously, Justin passed it to Maddison. He passed it to Iheanacho, who beautiful turn, by the way. I mean, what a turn that was! And then a beautiful pass to Maddison, who did the best he could in the box. What I found fascinating about that, when I watched, they did sort of an analysis of it. What I found fascinating was that he passed it to Iheanacho, then he just carried on bombing it. And Iheanacho, once he'd made the pass, sort of just trotted. And this isn't a dig at Iheanacho whatsoever. But what I found really interesting is he started trotting towards the goal. While James Justin, who started it, was absolutely busting a gut to get in there. So it was just a fantastic goal. I mean, what a team goal it was. What a team goal, and started and finished by James Justin. So fair play to him.
Yeah, and again, he was a bit more quiet in the second half. Oh, however, again, something we've mentioned before. Why why is he not getting his senior call up? We'll get to that. We'll see if Gareth Southgate again. He has been Gareth Southgate has been in quite a few games of recent watching Leicester City, which is only a good sign in my opinion. But just back to you, James. We've obviously won 2-0 first half. James Justin again has been sensational, and it could have been more goals, but James, again, he made a similar position and similar run to what he did in the Everton game in the second half, where he nearly got that goal. But again, if you don't take your chances, you don't get them. But he was everywhere today, and what a player he is.
Yeah, it just goes from strength to strength. Each week we see him, he just gets better and better. His runs are a lot more smarter. He's starting to notice where players are going, so he's starting to gel with players now as well. So it's not just him; it's the players around him. He plays off, and the space that he gets in it's just second to none. I don't think we've seen an English player, that exciting in a long time.
Are you saying for Leicester City or in general?
In general. Generally, defenders for England, you don't really get that excited about, but he can play anywhere in the back four. I don't think England have ever had a player like that before, if I'm honest.
No, and even the back five role as a wing back as well. So even beyond that, but again, in the second half, it did seem that Fulham came out to play. There wasn't too much in terms of Leicester threatening wise, but I think it's going to be a really long season ahead of us. But Fulham came out, Rich, and today they didn't really take their chances, and they are going to struggle. But however, credit to Leicester, we shut up shop. We just didn't let any more players come through, and the substitutions we made were good as well. We weren't going for that extra win and going for the two or three or four extra goals, even though we did get them in later on. But I think it was a good tactical decision from Brendan Rodgers to bring on the players that he did.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was a very clever decision, as you've just said there, Neil. But I think what was just interesting that, going back to Schmeichel and, obviously that save he made was essentially worth a goal, which I know is a bit of a cliche, but it really was, because obviously if that goes in, then it's 1-1. And so it really was worth a goal. And what was funny about it, I remember just thinking, oh my God, that's going in. And all of a sudden there was just his paw came out of nowhere. I just couldn't believe it. So fair play to him. But to just resonate with your point, I absolutely agree. I think the substitutions were obviously defensive. However, when you're 2-0 up against Fulham, I think you can back yourself that you've got the quality. And we did that, and it proved to be the right decision. Look, if we're sitting here at this point now and it's 2-2 after he's made a couple of defensive substitutions, then we're all going crazy. But that's not the case. So it's a really positive result, especially after that Leeds result. I could not be happier. So it's a great result, and well done for Brendan for being tactically fantastic again.
Yeah, it's something that I definitely agree with you, and something that about this time, or about a month ago, this time last season, where we went on that run from after the Norwich match and everything kind of went downhill. It could have happened again, Alex, because you're looking at today with what happened, and we just had a bad result against Leeds. Again, Leeds were amazing. However, to turn it round in today and go, right, we've got a few days, let's turn it away, turn it round, go on this run and come forward. I mean, that is proper. That's proper mentality from the players and the manager, because you think about the losing result and you're putting in Hamza, you're putting in Nacho, which a lot of people, as you were saying, were slating. It's a bold move, and today it did work out.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that you said was the mentality. So the players and, the manager, the mentality from last season when, we lost to Norwich, it went downhill and there was no recovering after that, it seemed. You can see how that's changed. Last season, if we lost like we did against Leeds, everyone would be in a panic. Whereas this time around, you kind of know with how they've really, tactically and, strategically played their games, and, the mentality that really has been going on in the clubhouse from what you can see on the field. You can tell, for me personally, there was no concern. We lost to Leeds, but I wasn't concerned being like, oh, well, here we go. We're going to lose to Fulham here. It's just going to be downhill from here. just the way that really how they've been able to come out of the gate and just be like, yeah, we lost last game, but we can really, just adapt and continue playing our style of football. And that's huge because that's the type of squad that you want. And that's really the mentality of a winning team.
Yeah, I think you're totally right in terms of a winning team. And one player that kind of he proves himself game in, game out today, James, was Yuri Tillemans. I mean, today there was some, I think you tweeted about it from Beyond the 90 account with his absolutely brilliant runs. And he didn't really look too tired, but everything he did was brilliant. Sometimes his passes don't work out. We expect that from him, but his challenging, his skills, his ability to run forward and take players out like he did today as well. I can't really speak enough highly of him, and he didn't even look like he was getting out third gear.
No, today he just made everything look so easy. Young midfielders watching him play today, he just opened up a showboat reel all the way through the game. He puts his foot on the ball when he needs to put his foot on the ball. His passes, they don't all come off. 9 times out of 10 today, they were coming off. I thought he played well with Hamza. I thought them two interlinked well together. But today, he was just been outstanding. And I think he's been getting better every game. He seems to know what Rodgers wants. Rodgers gets the best out of him. And now he's got that midfield around him that's working so well together. That interlinked play between the defence and attack is just getting better and better. And I think it's just going to get better and better for Leicester going forward.
Yeah, and I totally agree with Diego Kante. That's brilliant. I just clicked on it. It is now with the comment again. Just a proper all-round performance today, and just on that because there was so many good players, and one person I want to touch on in particular, Rich, coming back to him, was Ricardo. So again, he still looks like he's still building into games, but today we saw some of the best performances we've not seen in a while. So the 62nd minute, the offside goal that he got, the link up with Albrighton, I was like, oh, he's back. Ricardo is back to full fitness, and again, he came into spurts in the game, and with more game time, he will get that performance there. And I guess we've said time in, time out, or you've got Justin, Castagna, and Ricardo. How are you going to play all three? Well, one of them has to get injured. That's the only way they're getting in the team, isn't it? Because, again, Ricardo today was somebody definitely to shout out as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a very clever ploy by Brendan Rodgers to pretend that one of them's injured. But no, he was just, he's looking like he's enjoying his football. A lot of things are a bit strange, but what I really enjoy doing is watching the players when the ball is, say for instance, someone's injured and they start, the cameraman turns to some of the other players. I enjoy watching what they're doing and how they're interacting with the other players. And Ricky always seems, even though he seems like quite a stern person, he's always chatting to the other players, but he's always seems really happy. And I saw him when Mendy came on, oh god, who was the other one that came on? But anyway, whoever the two subs were, Albrighton, that was it. Yeah, he went over and made a big point out of slapping their hands with the players. He didn't need to do that, but he went over, and I just think that shows the team spirit. So for me, the fact that Ricky's come back after all this time and he's been thrown back into it again, let's be honest, because of an injury, because a few weeks ago there was no way he was getting back in the team. He is again just shown, he's reminded us all of his quality, and I can't wait to see him back to full fitness in a couple, potentially at the weekend. He is a player, which we are just starting to amass a team of absolute ballers right now, which is incredible. I never thought I'd see so many incredible players playing for Leicester, but you look even across the bench and you just go, okay, fair enough. We've got, look who we've got on to bring on. It's just, you look at it and go, when we're back to full fitness, what a team we will have. What a team. And
it just seems to be players are leaving out, but we are just having a full team. And again, like you're saying, it's just, and Soyuncu came in today, Alex, and just, a couple of points. Soyuncu, how magnificent was he? And he nearly had a goal from a header and nearly a goal from a volley, which again was an incredible volley from a centre back as well. And second point is we've been asked nicely to stop winning. So, opposition fans, which is always a good. Ironically, his name's Neil as well, but we support different teams as well. So, just your thoughts on Söyüncü today, and also the comments of this, and if other fans from top 6 teams are asking us to stop winning, I mean, it is kind of tongue in cheek and it is banter, but at the same time, there's a little bit of seriousness to it, isn't there, Alex?
Oh yeah. Well, first off, going off Söyüncü, I think one of the craziest things to see is that he's been on the bench because you got Fofana, you got Evans that have been just lights out. With Fofana being out for a few weeks, that gives Söyüncü the opportunity to really slot in, and it's just incredible to see him play because like the way he made contact with that ball, like you would expect Söyüncü to be a striker the way that he contacted. That was just fantastic. And then, the header was just another thing. Unfortunately, it didn't count. But, I think with Söyüncü, just the way that he's really slotted in now, and, we're going to get to see the opportunity of him playing more, with Fofana being out right now. It's just exciting to see because the fact that you can bring a player of his caliber off the bench and be like, oh, yeah, you're going to start now because we have injuries. It's remarkable. And the same with, Ricardo, with Castagna being injured. You just slot Ricardo and you're like, oh, yeah, this guy's our replacement. But going off of the Aaron, pleading, can't really say much. One of my buddies is a Chelsea fan, and he's been saying the same thing. And, even today he sent me one. He's like, really? Again? 3 points? Can you just not? So, no. I can't say anything. I just hope we just keep winning. It's a good competition. It's healthy competition right now.
Yeah, it definitely is at the moment because there is just so much going on at the moment, James. And just a quick question over to you. I know we haven't got your perspective on a while. I've just got a comment from what would be your choice of wing backs? Because again, this is a hard question. And with everybody playing and everybody fit, who do you put in the team? And this is the $1 million question, isn't it?
Yeah, so on the left, Justin. So there's that sorted. It's the right that's the problem. If everyone's fit and then you've got Ricky P and Castagna, who do you go with? I think it depends on the opposition, if I'm honest. They both bring different things. So for me, it depends who we're playing. Ricky P would probably just edge it over Castagna at the minute. But it's one of them decisions that Rodgers is going to have to make. It's not exactly an awful decision, is it, when you've got to choose between them two? Because even if one's having a bad game, you just put the other one on. And as a opposition defender, Ricky P goes off and Castagna goes on. You're like, oh God, what can we do now? Defenders hate being ran at, and both of them just continue run at each other. And then on the left-hand side, you've got Justin and Barnes. It's just no end attacking for us. So you can switch play, you can go down the centre, you can use either wing. Our attacking options are just getting more and more. And to me, that's a great thing. And our defence today, first time them 4 have played together, I think, this season, which is quite outstanding because all 4 of them are world class. But that's been our injuries. So I think, yeah, wing backs is a tough decision, but I'd probably go with Ricky P and Justin at the minute. Castagna's injury seems to be a bit reoccurring, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Diego Kante agrees with you as well. So, again, not too much to talk about. But, again, it did remind me of not getting out of third gear a bit of the Brentford game in terms of they didn't really... They turned it on at times. However, it was just a great performance all around. We'll go over to man of the match because, again, today it was a bit of a hard one. I'll just head over to you first, Rich. Who was your man of the match? Because I think somebody put up there today, any one of the back 4 could get it. So it's quite a hard one to choose from.
I'm going to go with Tielemans, to be honest, just because I think on the whole he offered so many. He offered so much defensively, but also so much offensively. So for me, he was just the absolute complete player today. I think some of the players were, I mean, that's really difficult because Maddison got 2 assists. So then you just go, well, hang on a minute. What else does he have to do? However, I just think Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with Tielemans. I just think he was that little step above everyone today. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with him.
Tielemans is a good shout. Over to you, Alex. Who would be your man of the match as well?
Normally, I would say James Justin, just because he's been fantastic every single game. But I have to give it to James Maddison today. 2 assists. He's just been lights out of late. Just everything that he's been doing seems to be working. He had that one-off with the Leeds game, but he really rallied back and just performed just absolutely incredibly. Usually I would hover around James Justin, but this time around I got to give it to Maddison.
Yeah, James Maddison is definitely a player that we could talk about as well, that we haven't managed to, because again, we could talk about him again, it's another thing. It's so hard to pick a man of the match because we've got so many good players and good cases. But just over to you, James, for the same thing. Man of the match today, who would be your pick?
I think it's a difficult one. And I think all the comments are saying it's a difficult one. For me, Youri Tielemans just edges it. Because he's just had an outstanding game. But then Kasper Schmeichel did nothing wrong. He had the perfect game. When he was called on that header, most keepers want to save that, and he puts it over the bar. He just seems to have that perfect game. And Kasper, again, his games are getting better and better. His shot stopping's one of the best in the league at the minute. But I think Youri Tielemans, because the way he controlled that midfield, is not an easy thing to do, and he made it look so easy. And like you said, he didn't get out of second gear. He can go up 2 more gears after that. So for me, Youri Tielemans and Kasper's a very, very close second.
Yeah, again, Kasper could be a player. However, it's just when he's called upon, we've mentioned this time and again, when he's called upon, he just delivers. And again, Jay has just put man of the match Youri Tielemans as well. Should have won 4-0. Again, we'll take a 2-0 performance. And the reason why I've put it actually down as well as a good performance is that it will go right under the radar. Something a 1-0 or a 2-0, we've got a clean sheet, we've got 2 more points on the board, let the other big teams soak up that pressure, and we get the results and we kind of fly under that. Because at the moment, let's see if I can get this working with the screen share. I managed to get it working for the preview. Let's see if this works with multiple people. Is that worked? Yep. So again, from a table at current, we are third in the table. Obviously, Liverpool are just playing, and they are 0-0 at the moment. However, if they get a draw, then they stay on same points. However, it is looking quite good for us at the moment. So we're around the positions, and that's what matters. Again, Liverpool will take the headlines. Man United will take the headlines, especially after the 9-0. But we did it first, Southampton, so that's all that matters, and we did it away. So that's the brilliant thing. Thank you, everybody, for commenting. So thank you to Hiran, Dio Conte, Jay, Aaron McNeely for the funny comment. Glenn, sorry, Glenn, I forgot the banner again. We just kind of went across and I forgot to do it. But for next time, if I'm not very clever, I'm not very clever, so I'll be able to figure it out for next time. So thank you, everybody, for subscribing. We have a match preview coming for Wolves and then for the Wolves game as well. Make sure to check back here after the Wolves game and we'll have the same performance. So make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see everybody in the next video. Goodbye.